Hey there, and welcome to U Talk. We connect with extraordinary people across Canada and ask them about their stories, passions, and experiences. I'm your host, Ryan Funk. I may be a bit biased, but the Winnipeg community is amazing. And there's no better example than Winnipeg's North End. The North Point Douglas Women's Centre is a gathering place for that community, with programs designed directly for the needs the community has identified. Tara Zajac is the executive director and shares how things have been going on at the center. Take it away, Tara.
My name is Tara Zajac, and I'm the executive director of North Point Douglas Women's Centre.
It's been a couple months since our last conversation. It was back kind of like at the beginning of summer, midsummer. Can't quite recall there, but following the social media, one of the big things was fundraising for a new facility. How's the progress for that all going?
The progress has been stalled a bit. I was away for a bit, and while I was away, the building that we were hoping to get actually caught on fire.
Ooh.
So that has put a bit of a kink in the plans.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, so just trying to figure that out. We obviously, though, will still continue to figure it out and are still going to have to get a new building, especially even right now with programs starting up again and everything. We're actually renting a space for the evening programming and some afternoon programming because our center is very small. So once again, the capital campaign has just taken a little bit of a back on the back burner as we try to figure things out, but knowing that it has to happen because we can't. And I always welcome everyone to come to our center, but we can't operate how we are. We have to so not only are we renting space to do our programming and any events, but we also have a storage facility that we also rent. So, I mean, the bills are adding up and at some point we do need a new permanent home. So right now we are just stalling that as we figure how this all works again.
Life sure likes to throw curveballs, huh?
Yep.
Well, that is so unfortunate because the work that the center does is so important and such a great place for the community to come together and meet.
Yes, we are. It's amazing, and even with we're very lucky that there is a space in our community that we can rent. But we are having the participants saying that it's not the same. It doesn't have the same feeling of the center. And all of that. So it's a bit problematic having to haul stuff over and whatnot. But we're doing what we can in our lovely little neck of the woods.
Well, you just gotta, when the water comes, you just keep bailing.
Yep. Yeah. I think that's part of the joy of just even working in the nonprofit field too, is you just keep going one step and one day at a time.
What kind of things are going on in this center? Is there still a little uncertainty with infection numbers kind of going back up this winter?
Yeah, I actually don't even know where to start with that. Obviously, because it has been a while since we talked, restrictions have changed quite a bit. But being that our center is small, we have decided to still limit the numbers of people coming into our center. So I'm going to say things are as back to the new normal, I guess, as can be. When it comes to, especially with the infection numbers and stuff, and even I have a meeting later today with one of my staff as we're seeing the numbers are going up again with this new variant. So it's been hard. It's been problematic. We continue to welcome everybody into our space. You don't have to be double vaxxed. We're not asking for any of that because that is a huge barrier for many. We do ask that people wear masks. And if people are clearly exhibiting symptoms, we will have a private conversation with them, but still letting people into our building, whether we don't know if they're vaccinated or not. We've actually held three pop-up vaccine clinics since the summer. So that's been really successful. The community has really been, it's been well received. And I'm trying to get a hold of somebody as we speak to do another one next week, being with, once again, that the numbers are continuing to go up and there aren't as many, it seems to be a bit harder to get appointments right now. I know even for myself, I was trying to book my son an appointment. And it's not as easy as it used to be, or initially was, when it was like everybody was doing it. And a lot of people can't get to the places, right? And then the other flip side of us doing the vaccine clinics is we have the relationship with community. Trust us, they know us. Love them like crazy. But they're our extended family, where they know that they can sit and they can ask questions. And actually the last vaccine clinic we did, we had our traditional helper and our knowledge keeper available. So if people wanted to talk to them or have that hand to hold, so to speak, because it is hard. It is a scary thing, I think, for all of us. Nobody says, "Yay, give me a needle." So yeah, but we're continually trying to do our part, being a community organization. And I think a lot of people do look to us as leaders in the community. So we are hoping to do another vaccine clinic, hopefully next week, one more before we not fully shut down, but we do take a bit of a break between Christmas and New Year's Eve. And yeah, but then when it comes to programming, so the drop-in is back to normal, as normal can be. And then we have kicked up all of our evening programming again. So those that don't know us, and it always amazes me, and I'll try not to cry, but we literally have programming that happens every night of the week, except for Saturdays. And I get emotional because we are a very small staff. Like at our height, we maybe have 15 people, 12 to 15 staff members, and everything that we're able to do is amazing. So as I had said earlier, we've been very lucky to rent space at the Filipino Senior Center, which is just down the road from us. And that has been great because their capacity, like during normal times, I think is about 160. And this way we're able to offer the programming and not have limitations. So at the center, going back, we're only letting 10 people into the center at any given time. Where some of our groups, like our men's night, there's about 25 to 30 men on average that come. So now being able to rent the space, it's not limiting that, which we don't want to, right? Especially with our drop-in programming. So it's going good. So we're back up and running, as in the new norm, I guess we say, which is it's been an interesting challenge, once again, with having to move space and figure out how all that works, but it's going really, really well. And then actually somehow between all of this, we were able to start a new program this fall. We started a grief workshop program, facilitated by our knowledge keeper. And being that it was the first time that we've done it, that was a smaller group, so that was able to happen at the center. But I mean, maybe I should actually probably tell my staff more often, but it's pretty amazing that not only are we doing everything, but we're also able to start a new program. And thanks to donors and funders, that is possible. But yeah, it's just this time of year is a challenge in our space period with all the donations that come in. So it's always this juggle of what gets moved where, but we're keep going. And then actually, and I wanted to mention this, our building got a little bit of a facelift. We have 2 art pieces on our building, from the wall-to-wall mural fest that goes on. So everybody check out our new art pieces. It's nice to see, obviously, like local artists, but especially to see new things on the side of our building. So I think that's kind of where we're at. And then with the drop-in, like it's just been challenging, I think, with the basic needs. Before, I think when we had talked, we were just ending the hampers that we were doing on a weekly basis. And now we're doing smaller hampers based on more of an emergency situation on donations. But the food insecurity is still there.
I think it's just amazing the amount of work that you're able to do with like the limitations that are around. Getting programs up and running, you're making, even though you don't have the space, you're making it work, finding areas, and at the same time starting a new program. I just shows the tenacity of the organization and, that drive to serve the community.
Well, and I think with especially with the grief program as an example, because everything we do comes from the community saying like, we need this or we want this. And we we just say it a lot of times, we're just the facilitators to make things happen. But especially with the grief program, we thought it was super important to start it now because a lot of us had loss during COVID. I don't know, and not just COVID related, but it seems to be a really tough year for many people. And when we think about grief, it's not necessarily just, don't mean it in like the death way, but the grief of relationships that were lost or disconnected. I mean, literally, I know I live alone with my child, so it was just me and my child, and that's hard, right? And it's all so that was really good. And then we also actually, I forgot to say, Mama Bear Clan also added a night as well. So Mama Bear Clan added a Wednesday night to their patrol too, which has been great. But yeah, it's not to pat us on the back, but it's pretty amazing what we are able to do with what we have and the space, and being able to connect like to the Filipino Senior Center and use their space has been great in many ways, and new relationships are being built there.
Those relationships, so important. Sometimes it can feel like, especially during this time, there's a sense of isolation from the community as a whole. And I've definitely felt that. Moving to Winnipeg in the midst of a pandemic, I didn't have a sense of community. I was just living in a city. Things are hard. You see people are on edge. But the few kind of cultural events that have been held virtually, and being able to see Nuit Blanc was so exciting. Walking around, I wasn't able to see everything, but I saw a couple of exhibits. Going around, I found a couple microbreweries in the area that I've never gone to before. Just walking around the city, some of the older parts, seeing people on the streets. I'm really getting that sense of community in Winnipeg, and there's such a beauty to it that I'd never seen before. And I realized that's some of my bias from when I was growing up out of the city. People are like, oh, parts of Winnipeg, it's dirty and scary. Yeah. But when you get here, you're like, there are homeless people and there are people having challenges, but they're having challenges. They're people. So, having conversations with them. I know during the height of summer, during the hot days, just go to some of the camps around and provide water. And you talk to them and you're like, yeah, these are just people that had a rough spell.
Going with the community thing, and it's interesting when you talk about like hearing about different parts of the city. Not only am I blessed to work in the North End, I also live in the North End. And I actually get a lot of that, people asking like, why are you being brought up in the North End, or why are you bringing your kid up in the North End? Like, isn't it time to move? And I love it. Like, I literally can walk, like, so I'm about 5-minute drive from work, but walk anywhere and like people say, good morning, or how are you? Don't know your name and I'm never going to see you again. Or I go to like the Pollocks or like our local butcher and all this, and you see people, and there's this little, like, I always tell people that in the North End is like its own little city almost in a city. But I think actually across the board, like Winnipeg compared to other cities I've been to, like the sense of community and pride is absolutely amazing, and something we so thank you everybody, Winnipeg and actually all over the world, but that have supported us and that continue to support us. I was on a call yesterday with somebody, and the amount of donations, whether it is financial or canned food or scarves or it is absolutely mind-blowing. And I think actually for me, seeing like our city really came together, I felt like during the pandemic, to support nonprofits, and not just our nonprofit, but like all the nonprofits. And it kind of made people, I feel like, almost wake up and realize like you can help by handing out water at the encampment or saying hi to somebody, or like a lot of people, I know I went through my clothes and was able to like drop off like clothing places, but it's been great to see the community. I think like as much as we can come together to support centers like ours and organizations like ours, and just our fellow Winnipeggers.
The pandemic has caused a lot of horrible things, not just the loss of life, but mental health struggles, people struggling financially. But I think a positive that's come out of it is a sense of unity.
Yeah.
For those who have come together. They understand. People are able to, at least for myself, I could empathize way better with people now, understanding, the struggles some have gone through, feeling some of the struggles myself this year. And I think once we finally come out on the other side of this, we're going to really start working together. We understand the bad things in the world, and we're like, all right, let's come together. Let's make life better for each other.
And once again, the pandemic has definitely been hard on a lot of people, but I am continually trying to see the silver lining, or what good has come out of this.
Another cool thing that's happening out at the center, there's a winter solstice celebration. Is this kind of an annual tradition? Tell me all about it.
Very excited. Literally, as we're talking, people are downstairs decorating some of the stuff, and I'm a little envious, I'm not gonna lie. But so 3 years ago, actually, so our center, in the last, I feel like I have a loss of time with the pandemic, but the last 6 to 7 years, we've really been trying to respond to the community, acknowledging the land that we're on, that 84% of the people that walk through our doors have self-identified as Indigenous and or Métis, and really adjusted our programming and how we operate, things we offer, the language we use, all of that. So 3 years ago now, we started the winter solstice event, I guess. We used to do, it was called our Christmas, what would we used to call it? It was our Christmas event with Santa Claus and presents and candy canes and Christmas carols and all of that. And we just came to a point where we're changing everything else about how the center operates. It's also time to change how we celebrate things. And so it's a continual conversation, and not just about winter solstice, but about acknowledging the season. So we always do pipe ceremonies, Thanksgiving, a lot of these things we're taking a look at again. So winter solstice, the first time, it was a big event. We rented out a gym. It was a feast. There was music. It was fun. Obviously, being still in pandemic times, it's going to look a bit differently. But as a center and as a whole, we've decided that we are not celebrating Christmas, and that instead we are celebrating the winter solstice throughout December. So usually even with the years that we've done winter solstice, we would still do presents, or hand out kids' toys, have a Christmas tree up, and all of that. And we've decided, and I guess we're actually halfway through December now, that December is all about the winter solstice. So for us, it's about, I'm going to say getting together as much as we can, which is a little hard, but feasting together, telling stories, doing crafts. The winter solstice is, what I've been taught is that it's a time to slow down, to get together, to visit, to rest. And I think we're all feeling really tired. So that's what we've been doing. So we do have Tuesday, the 21st is the winter solstice, but we've been leading up to that. So we've been Mondays and Fridays, we were serving meals to the community. So we have community members actually that we've worked with who come and cook meals for about 100, 150 people. And then Wednesdays has been a lot of crafting. So beading and painting. And then they were sewing yesterday. Yeah. And then Fridays, not only are we doing the meal, but we also have our knowledge keeper sitting there to visit with people. I think that's a part that we're all missing. And I think even before the pandemic, this day and age, we don't sit down and we visit and spend that time together like we used to before, right? As we're, my phone's going off, my email's going off, and this is going off. So it's just time for that. And then winter solstice, and I meant to grab the schedule, but I don't know where I put it now. We literally have events going from 9 to 4 all day long. It's all staff involved. Every about half hour to hour, things are changing. Please check it out on social media. It's all there. But giving a chance for everyone to enjoy aspects of it. Once again, being that we can only have 10 people in the building, and we wanted to do it at the center because we do understand like how important the center is for a lot of people, and how for a lot of us it is our home, or our second home, so to speak. So we have storytelling, we have crafts, we have food, we have some singing going on, we have some drumming going on, and just a day like to get together, to eat together, to talk, to visit. Like, I think a lot of these things that we forget about. So that's what we're doing, and acknowledging also, Mother Earth and everything she's given us, and continues to provide for us. So yeah, so it has been a little bit of a challenge, trying to, and once again, thanks to all of our donors and our funders, but usually we are taking toys like right now for kids, and we're not taking toys. We have our days of December on social media saying we need, socks and underwear and shampoo. And a lot of times we would usually ask for like candy canes or Christmas chocolates, and we're staying away from that. And just like Christmas is a hard time for a lot of people. December is generally, it's a hard month already. And especially for those that maybe have lost family or can't be with their family. And then the burden of feeling that you have to spend way too much money, and having a kid myself, like way too much money on stuff that I'm like, are you actually going to be playing with it next year? And just taking a step back and giving people that space that it's okay not to celebrate. It's just this mind change, but it's really beautiful. And I know even for myself, like I'll still be celebrating Christmas with my family, but my son and I, we're talking more and we're telling stories, and it's making us take that step back of what actually does matter. So we're actually, like my son and I, we've decided we're getting food together for Winnipeg Harvest. Which people laugh that why wouldn't I be bringing it to the center, but all places matter. And last night he was telling me stories. We were talking about Louis Riel, and he was telling just that time together piece, right? Because I think a lot of us get stuck in the stuff that doesn't always matter.
It's a great time to reset. We always talk about like New Year's resolutions and stuff, but yeah, I'm really excited. I'm hoping to take a week off, kind of that end of season, right before New Year's, and just spend some time with my partner, spend time with friends. And of course, there'll be things I'll want to like play some games or watch some movies and stuff. But go out, visit my parents, visit my grandparents, and just talk. And also what you're mentioning, that kind of separation from the Eurocentric idea of what the end of year looks like Christmas trees and all that. Just the other day, I talked to an individual from the the Canadian Kwanzaa Association. I had never heard about Kwanzaa before.
Yeah.
So talking with him and learning about it, I was like, this is so cool. And at least for myself, just talking with other people, learning about these different cultures and practices has, at least for myself, been so fulfilling, learning about these other aspects of life that have kind of been pushed to the side for such a long time.
Yeah, I read something the other day, and it might have been a meme. I think that's what it's called, a meme. Aging myself, but it was about how, and I can't remember the exact dates, but it was around the beginning of December till about the middle of January, how many actual different holidays there are. I think it was 14 at least.
So many.
Yeah. And so like you're saying, I know for me, for us, I'm Ukrainian. So we're going to explore, what does Ukrainian Christmas mean? Like, let's, what can we do? And for us, it's not going to be about the presents. Like I told my son, we're going to do some traditional cooking. But it's actually, and it kind of makes me sad, I think, how much we've come around like to the whole Christmas and presents and all of that stuff, where what are like, and even like talking about the other cultures, what are their traditions about, and what does that look like? Because a lot of them aren't about the materialistic stuff, right?
There's so many. What can I think? Just this whole period, like there's Diwali in October. Dia de los Muertos at the end of October. Then November you have Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, of course Christmas. I think in Scandinavian countries they practice, I think, one of their days called Saint Lucia.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Saint Lucy. Kind of. There's so much stuff that happens at this end of year, and I mean, I think Christmas. A lot of the practices have been kind of indoctrinated from or taken from other practices throughout Europe, and kind of just put a little Western sticker over top. It's like, this is our stuff now.
So that's what we're looking forward to it. I'm hoping the weather. So we are starting with the pipe ceremony. I should say that, and we're hoping. And as I look outside, I have like a window right here. It's so cold out today compared to how it was. And it's not even that cold. But hopefully the weather cooperates on Tuesday so we can actually do the pipe ceremony outside. And everybody who wants to be can be part of it. Because it is, want to be like respectful of the restrictions and the guidelines and that. But it is tough to say, like, no, you can't be a part. I can't even say it. So hopefully the weather, does cooperate so we can do parts of it outside to have more people be part of it and share in it, or so we'll see how the day goes.
Give people a glimmer of hope at the end of year.
Yeah.
So coming back to the center, you talked a lot about donations, and the center is going through a lot of challenges and trying to figure out things right now. Does the center / community of the North End need any support? Are there any volunteers needed, or maybe financial contributions?
So, well, we are always happy to take financial contributions. We and I laugh. I was on a phone call yesterday, but we've really have become, I guess, more self-sustainable, and we don't depend on a lot of the mainstream funders necessarily all the time. So we always do need financial contributions and food. I'm going to say food. Once again, I'll plug our social media. You can follow us on social media. We're doing our days of December, and every day is a different item. And then on our website, we have, I don't want to say we have an Amazon wish list, but we also have a wish list with Good Local. That's a local sort of shop thing. But a lot of it's food. It's and it breaks my heart. And the other thing to remember is that, and I know it's December, a lot of people are giving more, and something about getting in, for a lot of people, getting into that spirit means helping people, but the need does also continue to January also. And so on and so forth. But it doesn't stop there. So I always tell people, like, that's great, bring us stuff, but also if you're planning to do something, doing let's say a drive for non-perishable food items, we're still going to need it in January or February. And we find those months even harder for our community. So you can wait. It doesn't have to come to our center by, December 24th or whatever. The need is still going to be there. And if anything, it grows more, we find, in January and February. And then the basic needs. I mean, all the things that we take for granted, like the hand soap or the shampoo, toothbrushes, toothpaste, all of that stuff. And I think I always tell people, like, if you're at, Superstore picking something up, pick up an extra, pack of soaps or whatever, or toothbrushes, and bring it to the center. Like, literally everything makes a difference. And it's all these, so I get very emotional, and all these little things, they do add up. So I think that's the volunteer stuff. We are always looking for volunteers, especially with our Mama Bear Clan. Our Mama Bear Clan patrol, minus the Mama Bear Clan coordinator, everything else is run by volunteers. All of our captains are volunteers, and they've been amazing, especially through this pandemic. They basically have never stopped except for maybe a 2-week break they took. But that's a great way to volunteer, and it's a great way. I know I just actually went on a walk not too long ago and hadn't been for a while, but it's a good way too to get out of your bubble, I find, and see what else is happening in our city. Maybe break down some of those walls or those misconceptions you have. So there's that. And then the other little plug I'm going to do, and this just officially happened yesterday, but we will also be having our annual pierogi dinner and cake auction, which is our big fundraiser, on February 17th. It will be held virtually again, being one, and especially with who knows how things will be in February. So tickets will be on sale for that on January 21st. And then February 17th is the actual date. There will be more information to come. But it's a great event. Even if people, we have cakes this cake auction part, and cakes go for sometimes thousands of dollars. But even the tickets, I can't say the actual prices yet, but it is affordable, and it's a great, even for entertainment purposes, watching people bid on cakes and having some local talent entertain us is great. And then just really keep following us on social media. That's our big thing, and changes, if we, this summer we needed a new tent, like one of those canopy tents. So we made a post, and by I think halfway through the day, we were turning them down and telling people we've got a couple now. Thank you very much.
We don't need more. We don't need more.
But also, and I always say this whenever I talk, it's also about finding the organizations that speak to you. I love the center, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's for everybody. So looking at or finding the organizations that that do touch your heartstrings, and that you want to be part of, find them, because there's way too many nonprofits in the world. But give to them. Look on their website. Follow them on social media. Everybody is struggling, and everybody needs help.
Yeah. So a good takeaway from this conversation is the Winnipeg community
is amazing.
Is amazing, and there's a lot of cool stuff that is happening at the center.
Yes, and just continue to follow us. Things are always changing.
If you have any stories you'd like us to share or communities we should highlight, leave a comment on our social media or reach out to us on our website. I'm Ryan Funk. This was U Talk, and have yourself a good one.